Is Luke Walton's job safe? We are going to show you the track record, rather the history that has occurred from prior to the season, in season, and to where we are now. I think the only person that should settle this is Dennis Rodman. Take a look.
There it is. What's going on, baby?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. So I want to ask you, Lakers, Luke Walton.
You can always go.
I mean, it's a sad situation. I think Luke Walton's been doing a very, very good job with the team. I think now all of a sudden with someone with a hard power came to the Lakers called LeBron.
Right.
All of a sudden now things are changing and his hands are tied right now.
Craig, off camera goes, where the is he? I don't know, but name another dude that could rock a jersey with a Geppetto vest.
No,
so, I mean, that's
he did not
like,
rock it. Do not compliment him.
He can rock it.
He did not rock it.
He rocked it pretty well.
That's it. He wore it.
He rocked the crap out of it. So then ESPN and Stephen A. Smith was questioning Paul Pierce on the subject. Here's that.
When Magic Johnson says, Luke is safe for this year.
I think he's safe for now.
I said for the year.
For the year.
Do you believe Magic Johnson when he says that? I don't.
I think it depends on, like I said, after 25, 30 games, Magic is gonna look and be like, all right, if things ain't going right, they still sitting around the 9th, 10th seed and they under 500, he might pull the plug.
Do you think that?
So that's an important point is, first off, Paul Pierce changing the question before he answered it, which is so great because he just then answered his own question. And then Stephen A. Smith, rightfully so, jumping in and saying, no, for the year. And he was repeating the same rhetoric Paul Pierce was that Magic Johnson said, which was this. As I was talking to Luke, and this is back in September, and Rob Pelinka, we said, don't worry about it if we get out to a bad start. We have seen that with LeBron going to Miami. And we have seen that when he came back to Cleveland. He is going to struggle because there are so many new moving parts. But eventually, we're going to get it. And we're going to be a really good team. Now, here's what Bill Plaschke put out on November the 4th. In a conversation with me and a few other reporters, Magic Johnson said Luke Walton's job is safe. He is going to finish the season unless something drastic happens, which it won't. Hang on a second. Let's leave that up. Finish the season. Doesn't he have a contract that runs after the season? I could be wrong, but why are we talking about him finishing the season? Why are you capping it at just this season?
Right.
That's already showing that you don't have confidence in any of this. So then on November the 5th, in a meeting on Tuesday following a winless 2-game trip, and this is via Woj and Dave McMenamin, Magic Johnson admonished Coach Luke Walton, remember this? For the team's sluggish start to the season, league sources told ESPN, Johnson's cutting appraisal elevated an already acute awareness with the Lakers coaching staff that there are intense and immediate pressures on Walton to deliver the franchise a winner in short order. Let's stop right there for a second. This team performed well in the last few years. You're adding LeBron. Now you have guys who are like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 who are playing with arguably the greatest player of all time that is 10 years plus older to their junior. And you're saying win now. That's a tough situation to be in, not only for the players, but also Luke Walton.
Right, and you know what? I think he's catching a lot of unnecessary heat just because though LeBron is playing, he's like averaging, numbers that we'd expect for him to average. He's not as explosive on the court. Like we've seen him explode on the court. He's not as explosive on the court yet. And there's a tactic to that. He's seeing how fluid things are without him having to go at a 10. Right now he's probably playing at like an 8, maybe a 7 some games.
Right.
But he hasn't gone at a 10. And that's smart because you don't expect, we want to win games and we want to win more games. And we're already having a more exciting season than we have been in the last couple of years. That being said, no one expects there to be a championship coming to LA this season.
Right.
No one expects that.
Right.
So to have Luke Walton, put this weight on Luke Walton's shoulders, like, hey, there's something that you're not doing right, like this, that, and the other. The team is still trying to figure out the chemistry. We're still trying to figure out the moving parts. My current favorite starting lineup is having Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo, and JaVale. Is that 5?
And LeBron.
And LeBron.
That's
yeah,
5.
that's 5. So for me, it's just like, okay, cool. Like that seems to make sense. We still have other moving parts. We just added
Tyson Chandler.
And that's going to be another exciting time. So it's just like there's so many moving parts. It's still so early in the season that I feel like when Magic puts out statements like that, it's not even something that is intended to scare Luke or to light some fire.
Right.
It's just more so for the media. It's just more so to just feed onto the media. I don't think Luke is concerned about his job. I don't think Magic is concerned about, who's gonna come after Luke. I feel like Coach Luke is doing an amazing job. He's a moving part. He's a young coach. He's a great coach. And so it's nothing that, at least as a Laker fan, I'm not afraid of.
So here's the other great part about this is that Richard Jefferson was on a podcast recently, The Full 48 with Howard Beck, great stuff. And I'm gonna skip ahead here to his second quote because he really provides much clarity to this, which is, well, what's the alternative? When people are like, well, is Luke's job in jeopardy? It's like, who the F are they gonna find that has more basketball knowledge than this guy? Yes, he's young, he's younger, he's not super young, but it's Luke. It's like, give me a resume of an intelligent basketball mind that's in a legacy that knows superstars. If Magic Johnson would have been GM, everyone in LA would have been like, Magic, when are you gonna bring effing Luke here? So don't tell me now that Magic took over after Luke was there, that all of a sudden Magic has some trick up his sleeve to invent somebody that has been around Hall of Fame players, that has won championships as a player, that grew up in a household with an MVP, and that grew up as a child with MVPs like Larry Bird and the Celtics. That person doesn't exist. So Lakers organization, fan base, understand this. Luke Walton is your best opportunity to be successful. And I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's like, again, these are professionals. Like these are, Richard Jefferson is someone who studies basketball, who knows, and some players are able to recognize that maybe after being a player, I can't be a coach, or maybe after being a player, I can't be a sports analyst, or maybe after being a player, like I can't, do detail like Kobe does.
Right.
You understand what you add and what your value is. Luke Walton might have not been the best player that the Lakers had when he was around, but he's so far an amazing coach and is, at least in my eyes, en route to being one of the best coaches that we've had. When we had Mike Brown, which was great, could have been better. We have Luke now. And for me, it's not something that, like the naysayers that are just saying like, oh, like Luke isn't doing enough. LeBron is the one coaching the team now. We don't even need Luke.
We've heard that everywhere,
Everywhere, right?
Every LeBron team.
And the reason being is because I get that LeBron has such a strong personality, but at the end of the day, he's right. Richard Jefferson hit it right on the dot. No one knows basketball knowledge like Luke. Luke isn't there to play.
Right.
He recognizes his position. LeBron loves to coach, but he's not trying to coach a team. I almost cursed. He's not trying to coach a team and play. He has to work on what it is to be a player. He has to work on what he has to do to help the team facilitate a win for that game. That's exactly what Luke's doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like when I hear players or not even players say that, I feel like the only people that are saying we need a new coach or what does Magic have up his sleeve? It's like people who they just watch surface level basketball. You're not even really looking at the just everything that's beyond it,
Here's what I will say, and I'll address the elephant in the room, which is if they continue on this downward spiral, which I don't think will happen, like it's gonna take time for, as I stated previously, younger players to learn how to play off LeBron and LeBron learning how to play with the young players. They're 10 games in to this marriage? Like you gotta give it time. What I think could happen though, if they go in a downward spiral, is Luke Walton is unfortunately let go, though he will continue to make his money.
Like how many games does he have to lose to go on this
If they go on
spiral?
a 10-game losing streak.
Okay. Which won't
like
happen.
something drastic,
Right,
which
right.
won't happen. But if it does happen, here's the formula. If that happens, which won't, but if it happens, Luke Walton will get let go by the Lakers front office. There's a guy available who LeBron really wanted in Cleveland, and his name is Ty Lue. Ty Lue could leave the money on the table, and that depends, by the way, on what Ty Lue's priorities are.
Exactly.
He's been coaching LeBron, he's been coaching the Cavs for a few years. He just got let go by Dan Gilbert. So he could either take the rest of his money and just sit out because he's getting paid, or he could structure a new contract with Los Angeles, come to LA, coach LeBron for 4 years, 3.5 now, and then say deuces to his NBA career. Totally up to him if all these things and these dominoes fall in place, which again, I do not believe it will.
Right, and the only reason I don't think that's going to happen is also just because they're losing to really good teams and they're killing, a lot of the worst teams. So, and we were coming from a place where we were losing to even some of the worst teams. So, I like the progression. It's a slow start.
Very.
And I just feel like a lot of these non-Laker fans, because if you're a Laker fan, you have patience. A lot of these non-Laker fans, you just need patience. That's it.
Yep, very much so. Although you're preaching to an LA fan base that just got LeBron James.
Totally
So
fine.
let's no, it's
Totally fine. I'm from here, and I love it.
Alrighty. Let us know your thoughts. YouTube.com/TYT Sports. Do you guys want full TYT episodes? Yeah! So download YouTube TV and get a 7-day free week trial.